As a generation, we seem to be lonelier than ever before. Why is this? Why does the male loneliness epidemic have its own name? And what can we do about this going forward? According to a survey centre on American life in 2021, men with zero close friends make up 15% of the US population. That is 15% of men surveyed said they have no close friends at all. In 1990, that number for men was just 3%, which means in 30 years we've had a 5-time increase in the number of men self-identifying as having zero close friends. Now, if we compare that to women, there is a bit of imbalance. For example, Pew Research 2022 showed that 21% of men say they talk to their friends about emotional struggles, whereas 41% of women do the same thing. Is this a question of socialization? Is it a question of men still feeling the need to repress their true emotions and to not show vulnerability to other men? And are we finding that having more male red pill alpha podcast influencers is going to skew that statistic even further towards a wider separation between men and women? Some of the reasons behind this have stayed the same. It seems to be the way that we're socialized growing up, the media that we consume as children, and the way in which men and women value friendships differently all play a part in why we see these differences. For example, the Survey Centre on American Life, again from that same year, said that 27% of men see friends weekly, and for women, that number is 40%. So, in terms of frequency of actually being around other people, as well as the value and depth of friendship, in terms of feeling the ability to be vulnerable with one another and to offload emotional stress or other distress on your friends, we are seeing a major difference in both quality and quantity of friendships. And what we're seeing is with the rise of digital media, digital connection, feeling that you have friends and socialization via listening to podcasts or YouTube videos, that parasocial dynamic is starting to come into our real lives. And increasingly, what we're seeing is women using that socialization to create community groups, to create community that is healthy, it's helpful, it translates into the real world, often through things like running clubs or pottery making clubs or weekly meetups. We are seeing women translate that into the real world in a manner that's very different to the mainstream male way of viewing it, which is, okay, I'm lonely, I can't trust anybody, I can't find a girlfriend, I can't get money, I can't buy a house. I need to be introspective and level up. I need to grind and work really hard and then use that to leverage relationships by bringing so-called value to them. And this is a really scary rabbit hole to go down, because as soon as you start attaching that mindset of entitlement of, okay, I've put in 5 years to growing my business, making my money, working out every day, being hyper focused on myself and on an individual outlook, that's where you lose all the parts that actually make a good partner. Sure, you might be providing a woman with money and being really fit and having it all together, but there is an emotional coldness that is cultivated from you working so much on yourself to the exclusion of real human connection. And I think that's what we keep failing to grasp in these conversations. You have the high value men and the high value women putting out all of this content on the internet that is actually getting a following because it preys upon the issues of loneliness that we're facing and the over-reliance on parasocial relationships and on feeling connected via media and the internet. And what that does is it breeds superficial men and women who believe that their looks or their money are the only thing that potential partners would be interested in. And I think the best thing we can do at times like this is to disconnect and go out into the real world, observe what's happening around you, how many relationships do you actually perceive in the real world, in physical reality, that are based upon these fundamentals of man provides money, woman provides good looks, and that is it? It is rare. It's a rare thing in most Western countries now to have those be the actual genuine reasons for human connection to form. I can't think in my personal life as a young 20-something-year-old of a single relationship that was built on those two characteristics, especially in societies where men and women both have access to education, to jobs, and to equal opportunity in terms of making money and being independent. So tell me why the male loneliness epidemic is fabricated and pushed forward by these red pill influencers who are preying on young men's loneliness and a lack of purpose and a feeling like you're falling behind and you're lost in life. Why are they able to bring so many men on board? And it's because young men feel like their role in society of being provider, of being this or being that, is being eradicated, and they haven't yet found a way to step into a more holistic role of being a man, of being an emotional support to your partner, but also being independent, of being part of a team with your partner, but being a good father, being emotionally open, and doing all the things that make you a well-rounded human being, and the things which naturally foster connection anyway. And you often hear, oh, get a hobby will fix it. I'm here to tell you that yes, for men who are lonely, the first step is to expand your friendships, is to expand the group of people that you regularly socialize with. And I hear all the talk about third spaces and losing them and not having anywhere to turn. But I promise you, if you are within the reaches of a city or a town where there are other people, there will be groups that you can join, that you should join, that align with your hobbies, with your interests. And those are the places where you are going to make relationships that translate either into real friendships or into romantic relationships. I think the more we talk about male loneliness and it being an epidemic, the more we dig ourselves into a hole of, well, I may as well give up because I can't afford to buy a house, I can't afford to be the provider husband, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's such a self-defeatist mindset of, oh well, I may as well just give up and continue working my job and never find a girlfriend and be happy with that. When yes, the world has changed, the landscape of the world has changed. The way in which we make social connections via dating apps and via all of these online fueled spaces makes relationships and human connection more complicated. But if you get a backpack and go traveling for a month through Southeast Asia, I promise you that you will make more friendships in that time by just being around people and forming human connections than you would in a year of working on yourself and grinding and just being on social media as your form of connection. All it takes is meeting one person who you align with. If that's what you're into, if you're into monogamy and you're trying to find one partner, rather than trying to be the most attractive, best person for everybody out there, everyone on the dating apps, trying to get as many people to be interested in you as possible. All you are looking for in this world is that one single person who you can be weird around, who you can be yourself around to build a life with. And that's a whole other video that we can get into about commitment, hookup culture, how online dating has changed the way that we view human connection. But the answer to the male loneliness epidemic is for men to stop being online, individualistic, and listening to people who are telling you that the only thing you can do to get out of where you are right now is to work on yourself, to the rejection of everything else around you that actually makes the human experience worth living. And instead, go put yourself in spaces where you can foster human connection. If you find that hard, then just keep working on it. If you find it difficult and awkward at first, it's a skill like any other that you have to practice and you have to temper in order to be the most successful you can with it. There is still hope for every single person, man, woman, whatever, to make those connections because they still exist, they're out there. And if you step out into the real world rather than the virtual, all around you, you can see human connection is still at the core of everything. And as long as that's the case, you will make a way, you will find a way to make further connections, further relationships, and feel fulfilled. That's all for today. Please let me know if you want more thought pieces on human connection, on male loneliness, on inceldom, anything that you're interested in, drop me a comment and we'll cover it in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.